Today we are starting inside the car right away. We are driving the NIO EL6. My name is Peter. Thank you for tuning in to this new Autofuel video. The NIO EL6 is an interesting car because we already drove the sedan versions, the ET5 and the ET7 last year, and those were actually really good cars. Those were more of low to the ground, traditional shaped cars. This is the SUV line. The EL models are the higher up, bigger cars. And this is sort of the mid-range one, as they call it. So it competes with maybe a BMW X3, but already towards an X5. The Mercedes EQ SUV models, of course. Audi Q6 e-tron, but also the Q7 or 8. So it's a big car with 4.85 meters, and it's really in that sort of upper echelon class. We'll get to the pricing in a bit, but what NIO offers here is a stylish, electric, high-quality alternative for the Germans. So in this video we're going to find out if that is actually reasonable to expect. And we're off to a good start. 4.85 meters long, like I said, almost 2 meters wide, so it's a large car. Big boot with almost 700 liters of capacity. Lots of technology in here, so as far as that goes, all those boxes are ticked to compete with the Germans. Looks obviously are subject to whatever taste preference you have, but I don't think it's an ugly car. And certainly from where I'm sitting right now, this is an excellent vehicle to be in. Here in the front, it's spacious. I got heated, ventilated massage seats. I have all the technology in the world around me, from pilot driving assist to a fantastic navigation screen and infotainment screen, pleasant steering wheel, lovely materials. So the quality is excellent. So as far as that goes, another box ticked to compete with the Germans. When we go to the rear seats, my boys are 8 and 11 at the moment, so they fit easily. But let's say you get this car on a 5-year lease. 5 years from now, when they're 16, they're going to be enormous, but that still fits because I also fit behind myself, no problem whatsoever, with my 1.83 meters. So space-wise, it's great. It's a great car, lots of volume in here, lots of air, also with the full panoramic roof, lots of light. So it's a pleasant place to be. And like right now, we're on the highway. Of course, that's the natural habitat for cars like this. It's spacious, you have a bit more breathing room, and it's a very pleasant cruising car. Now, of course, we've got to do a cockpit tour like you're used to through this NIO. And it's actually very similar to the other NIOs that we drove. The minimalistic design, the central screen that dictates basically the whole experience, and the basically total absence of any buttons. So that is something that you either like or you don't like. But I have to say that NIO has done it in a almost convincing way. The whole minimalistic design, I quite like it. It makes it calm in here. It's pleasant, but I am also a traditionalist. I do like a few buttons here and there. For example, here on the left, we do have buttons for the window controls, but no button for the mirrors. That's something you have to set up in the screen and then use the buttons on the steering wheel to adjust your mirrors. And the same goes, for example, for the position of the steering wheel. Now, is that a complete disaster? Of course not, because in all honesty, how often do you really adjust your mirrors and your steering wheel height? Not often. But that said, if you're driving, for example, with a thick jacket on, or if your partner used it, or if you change your seat because somebody's sitting behind you, it is annoying that you can't just press a button and sort of while you're driving, change the mirror and glance over to see if you have the right position. You have to go through 3-4 pages in the screen, then you have to use the buttons, and the system starts to complain. It's too cumbersome. It's not necessary. So as far as that goes, how complicated can it be to add an additional little rotary dial here for your mirror controls? The quality in general, by the way, is fantastic. Everything you touch, everything you rest on, everything you interact with feels quality and feels upmarket. I mean, it's not a cheap vehicle, and it feels that way. So that's quite nice. NIO does a good job in making you feel special in this interior. So that's nice. It's a car that every time you get in, you're like, ah, nice. And that's good. That's a difficult thing to do. And the quality is good. It feels nice. The stitching is great. The way everything is put together feels great. So quality-wise, excellent job. Well done, NIO. And that actually continues if you go further down into the cabin. Of course, there's some plastics for the door pockets and such, but there's some kind of material over it so it doesn't feel like hard-packed cheap plastic. And there's rubber on the bottom, The same thing here. And it's so even further down the car, the stuff that you don't really see or touch that often, it still feels nice. At no point in this car do you have a cheap material or a cheap feel. So that's excellent. Well done. The steering wheel is the correct shape, so that is good too. It's just slightly flatter on the bottom, and I have two button clusters here, unmarked, by the way. One for your driving controls, cruise control, autopilot and so on, and one for your media and your system controls. On the little driver's display that you have, is a little letterbox display with your basic information that you can obviously change a little bit. That is what you get in terms of interaction, and they haven't gone overboard, so there's still two stalks behind the steering wheel for your indicators and your lights and your wiper settings. Excellent. This is the setup that you want. You want a clean steering wheel with some controls, stalks behind, and everything else elsewhere. You don't need 47 buttons on the steering wheel with touchy swipey surfaces and little screens. It's not necessary. It just doesn't work. This is clean, it's easy to use, the buttons remain where you left them. It just makes a lot of sense. So that's excellent. The driver's display is excellent too. This car does have a head-up display, but it's always nice to have a bit of extra glanceable information right in front of you. I've said that in other videos as well. When you have to change where you're looking too much, it becomes distracting, but here you can just look up and down and still keep your eyes on the road. Excellent. This is the setup that I like. If we go to the middle, we have the little robot Nomi. That is our voice assistant animation character. It's not really for me. It's very cute and my kids love it, obviously, but it's a bit much. So, you know, it works fine. You can ask her about the weather or find a charging station and so on. And I'm sure in the future it will be all AI powered and serve the web kind of thing. Great, I suppose. Personally, in a car, I don't really use voice assistants that much because usually it's just easy to press a button. And I don't need to have a discussion with my car about changing the temperature, for example. That's just, you know, it's not necessary. Luckily, the screen in the middle is fantastic. There's no other word for it. This is how you want a screen. We have a vertical setup and it's sort of a floating iPad basically, and this screen is fast, it's awesome, it's vibrant, it does everything you want it to do. So all your car settings are here, all your klima settings are here, all your everything is in here. So that is fantastic. Your apps, you can go completely crazy here. You can spend a week diving deep and deep and deep into all the layers of the menu to set the car up exactly with the right color temperature and so on. And I cannot stress how important it is to get this right. I've said it in previous videos as well. The cars these days are so centered around this infotainment experience that if this is not working well, it's something you use every single time you drive the car. And if it isn't like almost perfect, then it's annoying every single time. And of course, there's things I don't really like about the software structure or so on, but the screen itself, it's fast, it's bright, it's everything you want from a screen. And especially for like the generation of my children, for example, the iPad generation, this is exactly how you want to interact with your vehicle. Downside though is that things like the ventilation are in the screen as well. So if I want to change direction or fan speed and so on, then I have to go through the screen. And it's a bit the same story as with the mirror control, just a slider and a knob and I'm happy and, you know, fine. But no, that disturbs the minimalistic design and so on. So it is all in the screen, which is not a great solution. But going further down the middle tunnel, I have my drive selector here with the parking button on the side and reverse and drive. Then I have 3 buttons for my driving modes, my alarm lights and my lock and unlock button. Charging pad here and 2 cup holders. In the middle, we have a dual directional, bi-directional opening central storage, and underneath here there's a large bin for anything really you want to throw in there. But it is just that, it's an open surface, so you probably have to order some kind of divider on Amazon to make that a bit more functional. But hey, it is what it is. Excellent. That is everything you want. There's no glove box, but on the passenger side there is a footrest that you can sort of pop out of there for an even more comfortable cruise. So that is what you get there. The seats are great. They're not too contoured or buckety or anything, so I fit in there even with my enormously broad shoulders. And that means that I am very comfortable sitting here. They are ventilated and heated, and there's a massage function as well, so no problem doing longer journeys in this car. And overall, it's a pleasant place to sit. Like, I have good overview of the car. I can see over the hood really well. There are 49 ways adjustable, obviously. So it's definitely a place where you feel connected to the car, inside the car, and in control of your vehicle. So that is good too. Above me, we have a panoramic roof for a bit of extra light, which is not really necessary with this light brown and gray interior, but you know, it's always welcome. There is a cover, so you can close it and you can actually open it up if you so desire as well. And that's actually the theme of the whole cabin, actually, I think. Everything seems to be considered and thought through. And of course, you can debate about those buttons and the ventilation and so on. Fine, I get it. It's minimalistic design and they want to keep it as clean as possible. And there's something to be said for that as well, even though I personally would prefer a few buttons here and there. But it's a nice place to be. It's a pleasant place to be, and the quality is excellent. There's a lot of battery capacity, there's a lot of power, almost 500 horsepower. So it lends itself really well for long distance cruising. I was in Germany this weekend to visit some family, and also higher speed cruising is no problem, because obviously with that kind of power on tap, you have plenty of performance available to you, depending a bit on the driving modes actually. And with the big battery of 100 kilowatt hours, there's also plenty of range, even when you're driving a little bit faster. Now the driving modes are interesting. You can obviously go from eco to comfort to individual, but also to sport and sport plus. And as we saw in the sedan NIOs, the more hardcore you go, the more power you get. And it's one of the principles of NIO, always 0 to 100 in 4 seconds, always four-wheel drive. And that's also promises that this car delivers on. So it's really quick if you want it to be, but I have to say it does get a bit bouncy and jiggly when you go to the Sport Plus mode, because of course the steering gets heavier and the damping gets a bit stiffer and so on. So I've mostly driven it in the week that I have the car now in comfort mode, where you have plenty of power to basically be one of the fastest cars in traffic. So, you know, overtaking and getting on and off the highway and so on is a breeze. But you still have compliance and comfort, and it's not all too jerky. So that is the mode I have it in most of the time. When it comes to the driving experience in a city, obviously when the spaces get a bit tighter, cars this size become slightly more cumbersome. And I have to say this car is right on the edge with 4.85 m of becoming annoying to handle. In my underground parking garage, you know, if you don't get the angle just right, you require an extra maneuver. And you just have to pay a little bit more attention with a car this size than you might want to at all times. Obviously, if this is your primary vehicle, you get used to it quite easily, and the camera system and such is great. So, you know, you always have a good surround view. But 2 meters wide, 4.85 long, yeah, it's a large vehicle. And if you want it to be less cumbersome, you really have to edge more towards the 4.5 meter mark. And of course, that size comes with benefits. You know, the competitors have the same. These cars are so capable in this segment. Power, luxury, comfort, silence when cruising. They all have that, and that comes with the size of the vehicle, of course. Now, by no means this is a sport vehicle, despite the SUV name. You can put it in Sport Plus mode and show it some corners, and it can deal with its size and its weight, but you can't height weight in the end, so it always comes back to haunt you somewhere. And you know, when you're really leaning on the tires or really leaning on the brakes, you obviously notice that this is a large and heavy vehicle. It's not that the car can't handle it, but you can tell it's not the favorite thing to do for this car and for cars like this in general, let's be honest. Its natural way is relaxed cruising transportation for you and your family. As you know, I'm looking for a new family car, and this is not the one for me simply because it's too expensive. Obviously, the competitors in this class are expensive too, especially the premium brands. But NIO does clever things with its pricing, so you can buy this car outright with the battery, then it has a certain price, but you can also buy it without the battery. Obviously, that saves a lot of money, taxes and so on, and then you lease the battery on a monthly payment basis. What happens then is that you don't own your battery, but you lease it, which gives you access to the battery swapping that NIO offers. You have several swapping stations throughout the Netherlands and Europe, where you drive into sort of, it looks like a car wash, and the whole bottom comes out and a new battery goes in, and off you go in less than 5 minutes. Which is a great system because you always depart with a, I think, 90% full battery, and then you don't have the hassle of charging at all. Because no matter how fast your car can charge, charging always takes time and it always sucks. And this car does not charge very fast, to be honest. So you can, depending on the battery version you get, it's 120 or 150 kilowatts of charging speed, which is not high, let's be honest, especially not for a 100 kilowatt hour battery. So even the Germans, the Volkswagens, do it faster than that. So that's not really up to the Chinese standard anymore, I would almost say. You want the faster charging, but if you have that swapping, obviously that trumps everything, because you get a full battery in one go. Now that is awesome. It is a good selling point in theory if the swapping station is on your daily commute route or close to your house. For me, that's not the case, so that makes it slightly less appealing, because if it's not, you have to go out of your way to do the swapping, that is, sort of defeats the whole point. And if you want to do road trips and there's also no swapping stations, then it also doesn't really work for you. So the use cases are fairly limited as far as that goes for now, because NIO is working hard to extend that network and have more and more swapping stations around to make that easier. I think you should not buy cars for future promises, but if it works for you, if it's close to your house, if it's on your daily commute, then I can see that the swapping station option has a great appeal. In general, driving this car for a week now, the driving experience has been great. The whole sort of car experience has been great. All the promises that NIO makes for what their car should be are true, and they deliver on it. So everything, like I mentioned, the quality is great, the driving experience is nice, the space in here is fantastic, and it is all around a very, very nice car. There's not that much to complain about, really. The software, like I mentioned, is annoying with things like the climate control or adjusting your mirrors and so on. Those are little things, but I suppose that is the way forward, that minimalistic stuff, even though I believe a button is still easier in some use cases, like with the ventilation or the mirror controls, for example. It's all very complete, high-tech, high standard, high quality. It's just very nice, and it's really interesting to see how far brands like NIO have already come in building quality, competitive products that can compete with the legacy automakers without question. So that's cool. That's really nice, and it's nice to see brands working on themselves like this and pushing innovation and development forward. I think if you're shopping for a car in this class, you should certainly look at the Germans, maybe at an Xpeng G9 that we drove recently as well, and this car certainly belongs on that shortlist too. So it's an interesting, different take on a car than the German brands do, and it's something that you have to like, and also something you have to experience, I think, for yourself in order to make a good judgment. That's all I got for you in this video. Thank you very much for watching. Please give it a thumbs up if you like it. Let us know as well if you want to see more cars like this, more Chinese cars, more non-legacy car maker cars. Give us that feedback, because we can really use that to provide you with more content that you want to see. And subscribe to the channel, because there's a lot of interesting stuff coming this summer, and a few changes that we're going to make to the channel as well, in terms of how we interact with you and what we can deliver you. So stay tuned for that. Give it a sub to the channel. That is highly appreciated. For now, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Cheers!